sometimes we got to be careful with these conversations too, because some people like to be the victim, so they like to put off their trauma on people, so you can kind of have a soft spot for them, so they can try to manipulate you. So we also have to, I mean, be mindful of that, and also too, anybody you get in a relationship with, you're gonna have to help them through some type of trauma. Sometimes people almost know they got trauma, and they just acting up and doing different things, and then you can see it like, hey, you don't got to act like that for the situation, right? So, I think it is good that a person that be open with you with their trauma, and you can kind of, because you'll be able to help them out more. Because me and we like to problem solve all day, right? So if I know what you're going through now, I can look at different things that I can see where I can help you out. Or even with my wife, it was certain things that she wasn't really, didn't understand what was going on, but I had already went through it too as well, so I was able to help her through some of the same similar situations I went through. So, what I mean, us as couples and trying to make this thing work, we gotta do the hard labor to make that person the best person that they can be, and then eventually it'll pay off at the end, because you'll have a better person, a better relationship. And I think a lot of this confusion in our society, especially in our community, will go away. So,
Nice. All right, man. I'm gonna give my thoughts on it real quick. Just like James said, I like a bit of what everybody has said, and what I will say is that it sounded like for most of the discussion, we were talking about what individual men can do. So it sounded like a individual discussion, but I think this is also a community discussion. To Nelson's point, just a little bit, it's a community discussion. There is a way where we can create a community of men who are more emotionally intelligent and seek to solve these issues beforehand. So it doesn't just happen with the son, it doesn't just happen with the bachelor, it happens with the father, the husband, so on and so forth. We are teaching these skills. This is what raising a husband looks like in the first place. Competent, emotionally available, emotionally intelligent. Those type of men have been here and have always been on earth. So we can start to teach and start to create waves and sectors of men that know how to interact in this particular way, because it's really all about you. Most of us, I think, on this panel are married men, and you realize that you have to guard your own space, guard your own zone. It is extremely hard job to find a woman that will protect your legacy. All of all of y'all spoken tonight is that's essentially what we're doing, figuring out what trauma a person has, to see if we are alike in value systems, if this person believes in what I believe. Are they gonna cut and run as soon as things get hard? So um as we search for common decency in our area and search for a like-minded woman, we can absolutely create males that are young boys, young men that know how to be a little bit more emotionally intelligent as a community. We can raise them up to be boys that go out and search for these value systems in women. And that's really all I got on it. People, I'll pass it back to you.
And I just add a couple more things too. I think it's important for us to become self-aware, because I don't know how you're gonna tell somebody else they got a problem when you got a problem as well. So um, you want to be self-aware, because both of y'all could just be toxic and it could just be circling around within that relationship, and it's just not leading up to no solutions. I think that men should have like deeper discussions. I was kind of told that, somebody brought it to my attention, and I don't think I was going deep with conversation because I just really didn't care. I didn't really care to get to really know people on that type of level. But as you get older and you're looking to settle down, that's one of the important things, is you need to have deeper discussions to kind of figure out if this is a right fit. I think Hank made a good point as well, and I think Shan, as far as some men just may not want to deal with it. It was a young lady that I was dating, and she was already exhibiting some unusual behavior, and I said, look, I'm not trying to heal you, I'm not trying to fix you. I need you to come already ready. And I don't know what that looked like. I'm not asking for somebody to be perfect, but when you do notice like some red flags and some rare occasions, then you may not just have the time or the capacity to deal with it, depending on who you are. You got other things to focus on, and that's just not your expertise. And then you also got to ask some questions too, because you'd be surprised how many women prey on little boys. So it's not just men that prey on little girls, but you have some women that do that as well. And Trev made a good point as far as listening. We do have to do a lot more listening, but sometimes some people are not gonna speak, so you have to initiate the conversation and initiate those questions in order to get some of those answers. I think it is important too, because there may be a situation where you can't connect with that person because of their trauma. And so if you don't like identify, then you may just be there wasting your time. Somebody made a good point too, as far as if the person is in therapy. I don't really know. I guess it all depends on what I'm seeing in that moment, because she could be in therapy, but the therapy may not be helping her, or she may not be intentional like in those sessions. So just because somebody in therapy, because people like to say, I've been in therapy, I'm in therapy. Well, that's to be determined. I have to be able to spend a little bit of time with you to like your therapist assess you, but now it's time for me to assess if you're going to be a right fit for my life and moving forward, if I want to invest my time in you. And I saw in the comments as well that even if you ask them on the front end, who's to say that they're going to tell you the truth? So I think Nelson made a good point as far as you being able to identify, or at least have some knowledge of, it's just really boundaries. It's really boundaries. And I do think if people should get educated on some of these things, because it happens more than we think. I think everybody has some form of trauma, or either they dealt with something. I mean, that's what life is. Life is about experiences. And so and that's all we've been doing our life is experiencing. And I highly doubt that somebody has never gone through a bad experience. So anybody that's gone through a bad experience, there's some form of trauma, and there's levels to it. So, but you won't know just by sitting there looking at them. So that's when you do need to have those discussions. And to Shannon's point, and I land my plane with this. I think cars are a little bit different. Yes, I do want to know like the Carfax on it, but people shift, man. People change. People go through things, and so even though that Carfax may look good, it don't necessarily mean that it's good now. So that's why you have to be able to like identify and just be in the moment. You know, as men, we should be able to assess the spaces that we are in, mentally and physically. We need to be able to assess like how safe the environment is, and then we got to be able to assess our peace. You know, like we can't go out there and be productive if we got like too many distractions. So I'm gonna go ahead and land it with that.
I just want to add this. It's ironic that, using the car example, right? Shan and Hank knew how to assess a transmission slipping and all the things to look for. Because they can do that, it's a good chance that they avoid those cars, specifically because they can do that. When you talk about the data market, which makes it frustrating, is the people who have the skill set to identify and possibly fix it usually risk avoid prior to getting into that position. And the people who don't know how to fix the trans usually buy the car with the trans. I think that has a lot to do with why people wind up with so many relationship issues, because the most equipped are not going to the least equipped. They're finding other well-equipped people and kind of pushing everybody into this sphere of rotating their trauma back and forth and making it worse. Actually, I think therapy needs to just be something that we make common. Like, even if you don't feel like anything is wrong with you, maybe just a check-in, to just like an oil change, just to check up. Because the more like I was talking earlier, and I was saying, one of the things that I notice about people is the things that they complain about usually will tell me more about the issue that they're experiencing and not. And I gain that by being around the space a lot now. And so like I can interact with people and I can see things coming because I've just dealt with some craziness, right? And I'm like, okay, these personality traits are similar to this. Just avoid that. But there are other people who will fall right into that trap because they can't avoid it, because they can't pick those things up. Mm-hmm.
It's like getting an oil change.
It's like getting an oil
maintenance.
Preventive maintenance, absolutely.